Hello and welcome to Women in Action. And in today's podcast, we are talking about creating book covers. Now, I just believe that every single one of you has got a book inside them. It might be a memoir, it might be a fiction book, it might be a non-fiction book. But whatever it is, there is a book inside of you that is just dying to get out, to be unleashed into the world, so that people can really understand you and understand the skills and the talents that you have. And this week's been interesting because I've been on a challenge to do something like self-liquidating offers, and that's a bit techy really, and I don't really want to go into this, but from that workshop it kind of made me think about creating a book as like the front of the funnel, something that you would actually charge for very low, sort of $5 or something like that, and then eventually people get upsold into other things. Okay. But I'm not going to go into that funnel. That might be another day. But today I wanted to look at book covers. And if you are thinking of creating a book, obviously you need to have a book cover. So that's what we're going to cover, and we're going to talk about like the design aspects and emotional triggers and what that all means. Okay. Very interesting topic. Before I go into that, what I want to share with you is that I'm doing a workshop on June the 29th. So about 8 days away, and I'd love for you to register for it. It's actually going to be in a Zoom room, so you'll be able to interact with me and with other therapists and coaches who are thinking of starting their own business. Now, as you know, I'm Bev Jessup. If you don't know, I'm Bev Jessup. I'm a speech and language therapist, and I have set my own business up. So I started offline in 2005, and now I've been online since 2015. I've sold courses, and I've seen clients all over the world, and that's what I'd like for other therapists and coaches out there to do that. So that's what I'm going to be teaching on Saturday the 29th at 2 p.m. UK time. So I would love for you to come and check it out. Check out that link. So let me share my screen with you so that you can see all that I'm sharing. Okay, so hopefully you can see that. Now, this is just a reminder to tell you about 3 easy steps to build your successful therapy and coaching business. And as you can see, we're going to look at how I went from working full-time to going part-time and earning more than my 9-to-5 full-time job, mistakes I made about pricing, and a sales system to get high-paying clients even whilst I'm sleeping from around the world. So I hope that you can come along to that. We have got some handouts and we've got some special gifts for those who come turn up live. So it's really important that you turn up live. There will be replays, but it'd be really good that if you turn up live, you get these extra bonuses, and I'll probably have other prizes as well. So make sure you sign up. I've left the link in the description. Okay, so book covers. Now, when you go to canva.com, you can choose a whole load of book covers. And all you have to do is you go to the home page, you type in here, book cover. And you can see you can got romance book cover, minimalist. Yeah, there's lots of different. Let's see what that minimalist looks like. So various templates. Yeah, I'm not sure that I want to niche down that much. So let's go back to templates and just go to book covers here. So you can see now we've got a whole range of book covers that you could choose, and you might feel like you want to have, maybe it's a fiction book that you're thinking of, you know, or maybe it's a how-to book, you know, a biography or something like that. So there's lots of different front covers, and you can see here there's even a back cover that you can use. So that's really useful. Have a look at all those different types of covers. So I decided that I was going to create a book called Bridging the Gap, and it's about the therapist's guide to going global with teletherapy, speech therapist guide. As you know, I'm a speech therapist, but the principles in this book can be used for any therapists and coaches really, but obviously the stories in there are the stories that relate to my experience as a speech therapist and the kind of clients I saw online. So that's what it's about. And let's have a look at the cover. You can see that it's pink. And the reason why it's pink is because if you go to my website, you can see there's a lot of pink and gold in there. So I've obviously got a certain brand color going on there. And then what was interesting about this situation is that I decided that I didn't trust my intuition, my creative intuition. I thought, oh, I'm not a designer. I'm going to go off and I'm going to maybe I'm going to go and ask someone to design it for me. So I went to fiverr.com, and I asked someone to design it because she was actually a university lecturer. She's a graphic designer, and you know, she had all these qualifications. And I thought, well, you know, I don't know about design. I'm a speech therapist. So this is what she came up with. And this is interesting. She was from Pakistan, and she obviously saw the idea of the map, me going global, because I have seen clients in Nigeria and Dubai and Quebec and, you know, all over the world, you know, and mostly around the UK. She thought, well, I'll do it gold. And I guess what she's trying to get across there is that gold represents wealth. And as I said, she came from Pakistan. So I put my ideas together, and you can see I've kind of brainstormed it all together. And I then decided, well, I'm quite arty. I like watercolors. So maybe I will look for a map here. So if I just take this away, you can see that underneath there's a frame. So how do you get that frame? I just take that away and I'll show you how to get the frame. You go to elements, you type in frame, and you can see there's different types of frames here. So, you know, if I chose that one, for instance, it'd be like that. And then if I wanted to find the map, I would go to map of world. Let's see if we can find it. And there's lots of different maps of the world, as you can see. There's lots of different things I could have used, but I'm going to go back to where I was and just use that one. So you can see that's what that would look like, but it looks a little bit, I'm not quite sure whether the jagged edges really work. So what I've done, what you can do is actually you can make it that shape if you wanted to by just pushing the boundaries back and forth. But actually I'm just going to go back and keep it as it was. Now the other way you could do is like have these clear white background, white lettering, and that, you know, the lettering is, they've chosen the font up here. You can change the font if you wanted to, and choose, you know, if you wanted to choose a different one. Now you can see that doesn't actually go. The ones that are recommended, maybe that, but it, you know, it's going to have to be sized up. So you can see that doesn't quite go. So you really have to think, because you're wanting it to stand out. So choose a font that actually makes it stand out, because the idea of this eventually is to actually get it on Amazon KDP as a self-published book, to actually print it out and then to be able to hold it up and show everyone. And if the writing is difficult to read, then it'd be difficult to hold it up and for everyone to see. So that's the kind of thing you're going to have to think about. Now I've got the wording and the subtitle, and you might be thinking, well, how did he come up with the title, for instance? And that's a really good question. I am thinking of doing a course on all this, well, kind of like a mini workshop, if you like. And if you're interested in coming to that, then send me a message on Facebook and let me know, because I'm only going to do it for about 10 people. But we're going to talk about how to create your book. And I've created my book. It took 2 days to create it. 2 hours to create it. And that is quite amazing, really. And the reason why is because in my head, I knew exactly what I wanted to say in the book, but I didn't know how to get it in the right order. And I used AI to help me to do that. And that's why it didn't take too long to put it together. And now it's in the editing form, which is something I don't really like doing. I don't like editing, so I've got someone else to do it. And I will talk about that process with anyone who's interested. Just send me a message, and if you want to come to that free workshop, I've only got 10 places and it will be on Zoom. Okay, well, anyway, so here we've got some examples. I've got this line here. Actually, what was quite interesting about this line, these 2 lines here, they were quite accidental. They weren't things that I'd thought about. It just happened to be in one of those templates. But as you can see, there's a gap here, which kind of ties in with the idea of bridging the gap. Here's a different kind of example. You can see I just changed the color. If I wanted it to be white, I would go up here and change it to white, which looks quite nice, really. If I wanted to change this to a different color, this background here, I could change it to white. Let's have a look, to that color, gray maybe. No, I don't think so. What about white? But you see, it hides the font, so I'm going to have to change the font to a different color. So you could do it something like that. This, by the way, is just a shape. You can see that's a shape that I've moved, and I put it to the background there. And to change the positioning of things, you go up to here to position, and you can send it to the front, which you can see, or you can send it backward like that. So that's how you change. That's layers of shapes and colors. So finally, last night, after having spoken to lots of people, various people said, well, if it's about speech therapy, what reference is a globe? It looks a bit like a history book. What's it got to do with speech therapy? And so that's why I've got now speech bubbles here. And then the bridge in the middle, which I want to kind of centralize like that. And this, if you want to make, you can see that it's got a gold background. So to do that, you go to effects and it's clicked on outline, but you could do it like that, or like that, or like that. You can see it's all sorts of different colors, but I quite like just the outline that we've got. So we had kind of gold effect, didn't we? Yeah, so that is one of the ways of doing it. You can see that is my back page, which I might need to have to look at and see whether that is right, but it just gives a little blurb about what's inside and the different steps and who the book is for, and some of the pain points, the bonuses, and a little blurb about me with a picture. So that's the back cover, which is very, very simple. Now, what I wanted to talk about is emotional triggers. So someone had said to me, well, perhaps if you're trying to work out what kind of pictures or colors or fonts that you need, perhaps you should ask AI. And this is what I wrote to AI. I said, I have created a book cover that has, hopefully you can all see that. I've created a book cover that has the title Bridging the Gap, the Speech Therapist's Guide to Going Global with Speech Therapy. It has a pale purple in the top half and a pale pink at the bottom. It has 2 speech bubbles at the top, each with watercolor maps and a white bridge connecting each bubble. The word bridging is above the demarcation and the 2 colors, and the gap is below. Tell me emotional triggers for my ICA, which are speech therapists who are burnt out who want to go online. And I just thought that was such an interesting way of looking at things, really, because at the end of the day, we do judge a book by the cover. So I can see that, thank you, Donald, for coming in. Yeah, you can see that there are so many things that we have to consider when we are going online and thinking about a book. We have to think about our branding, but there are certain emotions we get when we're looking at a book cover. And when I had the gold one, it was interesting when I asked people which one I should go for. The people who were in India, Pakistan, Africa, were the people who said, oh, I like the gold one. And the others said something totally different. And I just think that was quite interesting. People from the UK and the US and Canada, who are my clients, really, mostly, they preferred the watercolor and the pink. And so when I asked Chat that question, what he or she, that's another point I want to make, is that I don't use Chat GTP that often. And the reason why I don't use it is because I think it's a bit like males, it's just a little bit aggressive, I feel, and a bit too salesy. Whereas I use Gemini, which is a little bit softer and a bit more female orientated. And it's just quite interesting because when I looked into AI technology, there's only 22% of female, 22% of the technicians or the software engineers are female. So obviously it's a very male dominated industry, and maybe that's why the AI copywriting is so male orientated. But also maybe it's because when you go into Google and you see all these articles and blogs and things like that, they're probably mostly being written by males, so it has a different kind of spin. Anyway, that's a side note. So if you are looking at using AI to get some ideas about a book cover and the kind of emotional triggers, that was the prompt that I gave it. But when it came back to me, it said that pale purple is often associated with calmness, peace, escape, which is a really good thing, because I think as a therapist and a coach, sometimes we, if we're working in schools or in hospitals, we can be really burnt out. So, it's nice to have that sort of sense of peace and relief and tranquility, as we think about transitioning to teletherapy and setting up our own business. And the pale pink conveys a kind of feelings of care and compassion and hope, which again is something that you'd like to see in our life as a therapist and a coach, because we're caring individuals, aren't we? So when you think about the speech bubbles with the watercolor maps inside of them, the kind of emotional triggers are that sense of possibility, that sense that the world goes beyond our current limitations. Like I'm stuck here on a little island in the UK. I don't have to keep my clients all on this little island. I can see them anywhere in the world and anywhere in the UK. And so the fact that, you can reach clients across geographical borders makes it kind of more comfortable and like a familiar location. And the bridge that you saw, the bridge is a central image of that is a powerful sort of symbol of connection and transition. And it speaks to therapists' desire to kind of bridge the gap between their current situation and fulfilling online practice. So, there's lots of ideas that go around these sort of the images and the colors. Now let's have a look at the text. The text, bridging the gap, addresses that desire to find a solution wherever you are at the time. You're feeling sort of really bogged down with like all the paperwork and working in a 9-to-5 job. And maybe feeling really burnt out. And then the Speech Therapist Guide to Going Global is like clarifying a pathway forward, and it offers a kind of a roadmap to achieve your goals. So those are the things that you need to think about when you are thinking about creating a book cover. So I hope that's useful, and I will be leaving this. Obviously, it's in LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube, but you can read about it on my blog, and all you have to do is go to mavenbusinesshaven.com, and you'll find the podcast on there. So I can't wait to see you in the next week's episode. So bye for now and take care. Don't forget to register for the free workshop happening on Saturday the 29th.